Hey guys, so this is usually the time where I tell you that my name's Nick and this is Walter and welcome to the shop, but Walter's at bird dog training camp right now, so it's just me for this one. In this video, I'm putting together this Rikon dust collector that I got. I found the directions to be a bit frustrating and I couldn't really find a whole lot on YouTube in terms of instructions to help put this together, so I'm hoping that this video helps somebody else out that's going through the same thing. With that, let's get right into it. We can start by following the actual directions to put the base together, and all that includes is screwing the wheels into the base itself. And this is the last thing that we're going to do in order according to the directions because it's way easier a different way. So now we're going to put this aside and grab the motor. With our motor up on the table, we're going to have it upside down so the white propeller should be facing up. And we're going to have the filtration housing upside down too. And how you know that's the case is that the label on it is facing upside down. And we're going to mount these two together. There's really only one orientation we can get these in right now, so you know if it lines up, it should be fine. And what we're going to do is put one of these M6 by 10 millimeter bolts in and just get it started. And then I'm going to use a 2x4 with some 3/4 inch stock to raise this up once I've got that bolt started, and that's going to help keep things a little bit more even. And this is where having a socket set comes in handy because this will be a lot faster to do with a socket than trying to do it by hand. I'm going to interrupt right here for a second. When you're connecting the motor to the filtration housing, please don't forget to put the rubber gasket on like I did. I'm not sure that I'm going to go through the effort of taking this all apart and putting this on, but make sure you put this on right now. This next part is the most frustrating part if you get it wrong because it's kind of a pain in the butt and it's pretty easy to mess up. So this is the motor column that goes on the motor like this, and remember this is all upside down, so this actually sits on the base and then the motor sits on top of it. The irritating part is that there's 3 slots to connect the motor to with 3 different holes, and there's 4 holes on the top to connect to the base plate. However, there's no way to index the motor column on the motor itself, and there's 3 wrong ways to do this and 1 right way to do this. So avoid the frustration that I have and follow this. When you're putting this on, line up the slots with the holes, and when you're looking at the top, the holes should go perpendicular and parallel to the motor and the filtration housing. If they're on an angle at all, if you make an X with the holes in the top of this and they're on an angle at all, it's going to be wrong and it's not going to work. So here you can see a little bit better what I mean about these holes being perpendicular and parallel to the line of the machine. What you don't want is this moved, a 1/4 turn, and then your holes are, instead of here, are here, because the rest of it's not going to be aligned with the base. You can see how the holes are parallel and perpendicular to the base itself. Get that laid out the way that it should go while you have it like this, and so that's the right way. And then what I'm going to do is put a mark with the Sharpie. Double check here again. I'm going to put a mark with the Sharpie on this one, and that's going to correspond with being on this hole that's over the box. So we're using another M6 by 10 millimeter bolt with a washer on it, and this is another slightly tricky part that you got to kind of hold this and do it at the same time. I found out that giving it kind of this bear hug and starting the screw seems to be the easiest. Of course, if you actually had friends and they could help you, that might be the correct answer too. And I'm going to get all of these started, and then I will align this up a little bit better and tighten them all down. And now we've got the motor column, the motor, and the filtration housing connected. We've still got it upside down, but I've turned it around 180 degrees so that the filtration housing is hanging off of the workbench just a little bit. Now what we're going to do is attach the support for the filtration housing and the handle to the filtration housing itself. With the supports, you know, they're going to be going up because, again, we still have this upside down, and then we should be good. So what we're going to need for each side of these, the M8 by 45 millimeter bolt, and I've got a washer on it with the bolt running through the handle already. Then we are going to add the filtration housing support through that as well. And then lastly, the spacer that's going to go between that support and the housing itself. And then remember, you want to orient the handle so that it's going down and kind of flaring out. That's the correct alignment for this. And then because this is the top one, we're going to put it in that bottom hole there. This is where having another set of hands would be very handy. We're going to slide a washer and then the nut onto there, and then just hand tighten it for now. We're going to get all of these on and in correct alignment, just hand tighten first, and then we will come back with the socket set and a pair of channel locks and tighten it down for real. Hey guys, I'm going to interrupt myself for a second here. I told you to put both bolts in on one side, and directly after that I was having a lot of issues getting the handle to line up on the other side. It's almost like the handle needed to bend in a little bit more to shape around the filtration housing unit. So instead of putting both in on one side, put one in on one side and then put one in on the other. And if that didn't make the best sense, put this one in first, this one in second, this one in third, and then this one in fourth. And with all of that stuff assembled, we can take these blocks out. We're going to move this to the side. Put our cart up. If you're not, be careful with this because, you know, it is on wheels and it's going to move around on you a little bit now. Now that we've got it roughly in the right place, we can put the bolts in for the filtration housing support legs. These are the M8 by 10 millimeter ones. Then we can put the M8 by 10 millimeter bolts in the motor housing too. And what I'm finding is that these holes aren't perfectly aligned, so we will unscrew or at least loosen the bolts that are connecting the motor to the motor column. We can pivot this around a little bit and then we'll tighten everything down. We'll add the bag holder thingamajig with the two small bolts that we have left. The Rikon doesn't include a wrench or anything to tighten these down with, but it looks like a 7 millimeter bolt is, or a 7 millimeter socket is what you'll need. The next thing that we're going to do is take this cloth bag and this metal clip thing, and I don't recall what it's called, and we're going to slide it through the bag itself. It almost goes in like a drawstring on a pair of shorts, so we're just going to work that around. Then we'll bring this back over to the dust collector, hang the little lip on the hanger, work the bottom of the base of the bag around the rim of the filtration housing. Then it should just be a matter of closing this around like that. Stretching undoing that latch, stretching the springs, and then clamping down. That's nice and tight. To put the plastic bag on the bottom is just about the same thing, except there's no slot for this metal band to run through. So you're just going to feed the bag on top of the housing here. We'll wrap this around and clamp it, and that'll be it. And just like that, we've got a dust collector. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope that this helped. I know that the instructions were a bit frustrating for me, but hopefully this video will help you avoid some of that. If you like this video and you want to see more videos, you know, small woodworking shop, tools I get, the projects I do, I'd welcome you to like and subscribe. And with that, have fun building.